Hello, good afternoon, Abubakar. Please confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Yes, welcome to the webinar. Let's give room
Thank,
to allow others
thank,
to join us.
thank you so much,
Then
sir.
we'll kickstart
All right,
very
thank you,
shortly.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I can see we we have quite a number of people, persons joining us. So, like I said earlier, will give room to allow others to join us. So we'll be starting the webinar at 12:05. So we'll kickstart at 12:05 so that we'll give room to allow others to join us. So whilst we are waiting for others to join us, just like us to introduce ourselves, reconnect with one another and network by maybe you could either unmute yourself and say your name, where you're joining us from, or you could go ahead and type it on the chat box so we can connect and network with one another while we give room to allow others to join us on this webinar. Thank you.
Everyone. Good afternoon. Hello, can everyone hear me?
Clearly, you can go ahead.
Okay. My name is Jeremiah Salumaji. I'm a certified solar installer. I'm based in Bako River State.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. You're welcome.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hello.
You can hear
Can
me. Go
anyone hear
ahead.
me?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Hello, good morning. I have a good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abubakar Ali from Maiduguri, Borno State, a certified solar installer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abubakar. Yeah. Any other person wants to introduce themselves and let us know where they're joining us from.
I'm Rabi Musa by name. I'm joining from Ogun State.
Welcome, Musa Rabiu. Thank you for joining the webinar today. So we'll be starting, okay, it's almost time. Yeah, so good afternoon once again. And welcome to the WETI webinar series for today. So today we'll be looking at a very, very critical, important topic because we know that part of the components of a PV system, one of the basic components, which is the battery, is where the whole component storage device relies on. So that is to say, when you tell your clients that, oh, that this system is supposed to last 5 hours, 6 hours after sunset, that means that the whole energy is going to come out from the battery device. So that makes the battery one of the key components that we are looking at today. And then we also encounter, issues on site on how to properly troubleshoot and then also test our battery. So today we'll be looking at a tubular battery, wet cell flooded battery. How do we troubleshoot it? How do we test it? If it's actually okay, or is it going to do the job that we have told our clients that this system will do? So that is what we are going to be looking at today. And the topic is optimizing tubular battery performance, troubleshooting, and testing strategies. So as we go right ahead into the webinar, I want to encourage us to hope we have our writing materials close by, our pens and our jotter close with us, so that we can make notes of what we are going to be discussing today. So before I introduce our key speaker for today, I also want to introduce myself, since we have all introduced ourselves. So my name is Solomon Uche, the Technical Administrator at the Renewable Energy Technology Training Institute, and also the facilitator at the institute. So today, before we dive into the subject matter, we introduce our key speaker. Right after his presentation, the question and answer sections comes up. So if you have any question, you can either unmute yourself, ask your question, or you can go right ahead and type it on the chat box. And then I'm sure that our key speaker will attend to all of our questions. So without wasting further time, we have a very key speaker, also an alumni of the RETI Institute. Yes, one of the first pioneers of the institute. He is also the technical director of RMO Solar, a subsidiary of A Crystal Energy Engineering Limited. So with a warm welcome, let's have Engineer Rabiu Musa. Engineer Rabiu Musa, good afternoon. And the floor is yours, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the introduction. Like I said earlier, I'm Rabiu Musa by name, and thank you for having me. Our topic for today is tubular battery performance optimization. And before we go deep into our major discussion of the day, I would like us to have a brief concept of tubular battery and concept of battery backup, so that we actually understand where and how to navigate our today's discussion. So understanding the concept of a tubular battery. Unlike other batteries, all other batteries are mainly maintenance free. They are not service free, but they are maintenance free. But for tubular batteries are not maintenance free. They require a planned, scheduled, and routine maintenance. What do I mean by that? We'll still get to that. So for all batteries offers a dependable power supply during all period, like you've just said during the introduction. When we actually need our battery more at the off period, the downtime, when we don't have the sun, that's in the night, and when the grid and other sources of energies are not available, then we rely solely on our battery backup. So for tubular batteries are suitable for renewable energy, but because of the fact that we are actually missing it in terms of what we need to do, right from the installation to the operations to the times of maintenance and services. So I would like to state the benefits and the challenges involved in selecting our battery backup. That's for tubular batteries. Major challenges of tubular batteries are the maintenance required, the periodic maintenance required, and also it takes a lot of space. It's bulky, and it's the issue of spillages and the fumes that comes with the use of tubular battery. But the main advantages that we have with tubular batteries are robust and durability. It can handle a very high discharge and recharge cycle. It's very high and deep discharge and recharge cycle. Offer high energy storage and capacity. So for our topic today, I'll be dealing with 3 critical areas that we need to, and one of them is at the point of installation. At the point of installation and commissioning, what do we need to do the moment our choice of battery is tubular battery? I'll be talking about that briefly. Secondly, during operations, during the running of the system, what do we need to do to ensure we optimize the operation of our tubular battery? The third one, that's what we need to do when we see something going wrong with our installation that is having a tubular battery. Those are the 3 areas that will highlight and broaden. So let me start from the installation and the commissioning. The first point I will mention during installation is how robust is our system design. When I talk about robust of system design, I'm talking about what is our battery backup design. How do we design our backup? How do we come about the rating of our battery bank? Because our load during the off period and the downtime solely depends on the battery backup. So how do we come up with our battery backup rating? That's a very critical point, because an underrated battery backup will affect the installation. And that brings us back to design. And that's, hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So our system design has to be robust. That's one. Secondly, battery configuration, because our battery configuration affects and impact on our charging system. How do you want to configure your battery? Okay, what is the panel size you are using? What is the charge controller you are using? So we need to align our battery configuration to the PV array, to the charge controller. If we get this right, then we talk about our charge controller selection. For every tubular battery, we cannot use PWM. I repeat it. For every tubular battery system design, we cannot use PWM, because tubular battery design, for the fact that it's a tubular battery, we need a very good charging current. So PWM, it's a no-no for our installation. So for our charge controller selection, we go for MPPT. Other points we also need to mention is our low voltage, flow charge, bulk charge, equalizer charge settings. These are critical. I will buttress out those points. We need to respect our low voltage cutoff. I also need to respect our flow charge, our bulk charge, and equalizer charger. For other batteries, like the gel battery, the lithium batteries, equalization might not impact them or affect them much. But for tubular battery, it is very, very essential, because the cells, we need to make sure we are able to balance the cell voltages, so that we have a very good balanced voltage of each battery bank. So equalization is important. And how do we go about this? We first need to understand what are these essence? What are these charge cycle? What are the essence of these charge cycles? For the for the for the first cycle, which is the bulk charge, that's the bulk stage of the charging system. If you have your charge controller or you have your hybrid inverter, you have to set your bulk charge, because as at 80% of the battery power, that's when your bulk charge will come in. And for every of your battery, your 80% charge is around 11.90 to 12 volt of your battery. Is between 11.9 to 12. At this time, your battery is around 80%, and you need to charge it to sustain the battery power. So you have to configure your bulk charge, your absorption charge. Your absorption charge, that's the stage where your battery is almost full. We are talking about 80 to 90% charge, and the battery voltage might range between 14 while charging, 14 to 14.4 while you are charging. So as at that time, you are almost getting to float charge. That's the full, when your battery is full. So all these three stages have to be set and programmed on either your charge controller or your MPPT or your hybrid inverters. So for all that being done, your equalization, and this I always buttress it because we had a lot of experiences at site where most of our tubular battery are wearing out 1 year and a half, 2 years. Not because they are not good, because we don't equalize them often. Because equalization is a situation where you overcharge your battery under a control period. Overcharging your battery over a control period. So what it means is, because of this battery is a wet cell battery, so you need to make sure you are able to recharge the cell. And to do that, you need to give it very high charging current, so that you're able to heat up the plate and bring it back to equalizing stage, so that every of the cell can have equal voltage or almost equal voltage. And how do we do that? For every hybrid inverter, there's a setting. You can program it easily. You program your equalizer to every month equalization stage. So what it means is that for every month at a particular time, once in a month, the hybrid inverter will trigger equalization charging. What it means is it will charge the battery above the set point, the voltage set point of the battery, and it might just be within 1 hour. You can do the setting on your own. What you are trying to do is, okay, within 1 hour, you want to heat up the cells so that you can bring them to the equalization stage. But in a situation where you don't have a programmable inverter, then what you do is you can have a sort of alliance with your clients. So at least minimum of 3 months, you must find a way to get a charger, a separate charger that will do this job of equalization for you. Because if you keep running your wet cell battery, which is a tubular battery, for so long the time without equalizing the cells, what will happen is it will degrade the cell, it will degrade the fluid. So you have to equalize it, charge your cell so that you can have equal battery. What you do is you get a charger, then you charge the battery above the voltage, above the set voltage. You can take it to, you can still charge it for maybe with to up to 16 volts. 12 volt battery, you can charge it to up to 16 to 17 volts. Then you keep it like that for maybe 1 hour, or 2 or 3 hours. Then you remove the external charger, then you stop back your system. What you are trying to do is you are trying to equalize and renew the battery cells. This is mainly very, very important for tubular batteries. For gel, for lithium batteries, because of their design. So other advantage that we also get for the tubular battery is the allowance of deep discharge. Unlike lithium battery, if you discharge your lithium battery too deep, you won't be able to restart it. But for tubular battery, most of the time, if you discharge them deeply, they will still come back the moment you start charging them with your solar panel or any other source of charge. So these are the advantages we have with tubular battery. But for this advantage, we also need to make sure we compensate and give it correct charging as at when due. You can program it to once in every month. If you have a programmable inverter, if you don't have a programmable inverter, you can schedule it once in every quarter. You can schedule once in every quarter to charge the battery for your client. Then you can reinstall so that you are very sure that your tubular battery tubular battery has a very long life. If they are well maintained and serviced, they have a very long time. So for installation stage, these are the critical points that we need to take note and ensure we follow rigorously. I want to take it again. We ensure we have a robust system. Don't overrate or underrate. Don't under design your battery backup. It's not good for tubular system. Don't under design your battery backup. Battery configuration. You must make sure you have your battery configuration conforms with the configuration of your charging system. And also you need to consider your PV array while you are doing your battery configuration. That's also very key. Your selection of charge controller, you must go for MPPT. So that when you have peak period, during your peak period, your MPPT will be able to convert your excess voltage to current and keep your tubular battery well charged and heated up. So we also mentioned about the bulk charge settings. You must set your bulk charge, your absorption charge, your flow charge and equalization charge for every of your tubular setup. It's very, very important. So for installation and commissioning, these are major points that we need to ensure we do to sustain optimization, to sustain and optimize the performance of tubular battery. So if there's any question on the installation, we can take it after. So let's go into the second area of the key solutions to optimizing our tubular battery, and that's during operation. What do we check? Because tubular battery are not maintenance free, like I said earlier, they are not maintenance free. So what do we check while they are in use? During installation, we have programmed it, we have ensured we have good configuration, we have ensured we have a good system design so that our backup is sufficient to take care of our load during off-peak. So those have been taken care of. Now the system is in operation. What do we need to do? What do we need to check to ensure we keep our system optimized? So the first one is regular checks on the fluid. I mean the electrolyte in the battery. Regular check on the level of the fluid. And by doing this, we will know which of the cell the electrolyte level is low, which of the cells have high electrolyte level. If you have the same battery and the electrolyte level are not even, it's also a call for concern. So these are things we need to check. Regularly check on and top up of our fluid. Before you top up your fluid, when you check, you need to analyze and investigate. Okay, what has happened? If you install a system and within 5-6 months, you got a call that the battery fluid level is low, it should be a call for concern, because something is actually wrong. Maybe you're having overcharging of the system that is causing overheating, thereby causing over evaporation of the fluid. So this, you need to, before you take action, get your feedback, get to site, carry out your inspection. If the water level is low, how old is this battery? That should be the first thing you will check. This battery is just 4, 5, 6 months, then you need to go back to your installation and your design and begin to check something is wrong. So after checking, okay, this battery is relatively, it has relatively run and operates within a satisfied time, but the electrolyte level is low. Then, okay, how do we go about this? Before you top up the electrolyte, we need to check what is the gravity of the fluid. What is the gravity of the electrolyte in each of the cells? First, we have checked the level. Second, we analyze our feedback. So we have checked the level, we analyze our feedback. Okay, this battery has actually run satisfactorily for a certain period of time. So is not out of point for the electrolyte level to be low. So no problem. As at this point, then let's check the gravity of the electrolyte. Because for every tubular battery, though we have a range for electrolyte gravity, we have a range, but for every manufacturer, they have their own specific gravity for their battery. Every manufacturer has their own specific. Luminous has their own, GSR, just name it, see what? Cartel, every of the manufacturer has their specific gravity, but there's a standard range for a well-charged battery. That should be around between 1,250 to 1,300 or thereabouts. That's the standard. That's the standard for the around 1,260 to 1,293, 1,300. That should be the range. But for every of the manufacturers, they have their own specific gravity for their own battery. So if you know the gravity of that specific particular battery, then check with your hydrometer. Once you check with your hydrometer, you'll be able to tell, okay, this gravity is still good. Okay, the gravity is low, but it needs to be charged. Or this gravity is too high, extremely too high, is a call for concern. Extremely too low is also a call for concern. But when you have it even, when you check the gravity of each of the cells, then you know that your battery is working under even condition. Meaning each of the cells, none of the cell is lacking behind. So all the cells are relatively working within the same power condition. So with that, we are good on. We have checked the level. We have checked the battery, the fluid level. Now we have also confirmed, okay, the fluid level is low. We have checked for the gravity of each of the cells, just to confirm if we are running under even condition or uneven condition. So if you confirm that, okay, all the gravities are also good, then it's time for you to top up the battery. How do we top our battery? We top only with distilled water. We don't top battery with electrolytes. is a mistake a lot of people are doing.
Hello, Engineer Rabi, are you still there? I think we must have lost.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, all right.
Sorry for the break. So for the we have talked about the electrolyte level. We have also talked about, okay, we need to analyze and investigate our findings about the electrolyte level. Secondly, we have talked about, okay, after analyzing by checking the level of each cell, if we have even drop on the electrolyte gauge, then we now check for, okay, what is the gravity of each of the cell. After, how do we check the gravity? We use hydrometer, a normal hydrometer that is being used by a normal hydrometer. Once you check your hydrometer, then you check the gravity of each of the cell. I expect the gravity of each of the cell to be even because they are from the same, because what we have in them, the fluid is the same fluid from the same manufacturer. That is why it is important. Don't top your battery with electrolyte. Top your battery with only distilled water. Top your battery with distilled water. So when you top your battery with distilled water, you are sure you can retain your gravity level of the battery. Because the moment you top one gravity electrolyte with an entirely different gravity electrolyte, it will result to a very high gravity. And the moment you have that, it will overheat your cell, it will cause uneven charging and discharge, and it will damage the plate. So we have equal level of, we have averagely even level of electrolyte drop. Then we test for the gravity. The gravity are also even. So we top our electrolytes. What are the safety involved? Let me just digress a bit. We need to take our safety very seriously. We must wear our hand glove. We must wear our protection glass. We must put on a respirator. At least minimum requirements, maybe the M3 or the F3 nose mask that has the tendency to sieve chemical gas. It has the potential and the tendency to sieve any chemical gas. So once you have that and you want to top up your battery, you allow your battery to charge. Don't top a undercharged battery. Charge your battery. Make sure the battery is charged. Then test your gravity. Then top it. At the point you are topping the battery, you must isolate charging to the battery as at that time. I repeat, I will take that again. The safety aspect of it. The moment your investigation and your findings concludes at topping your battery, and you are sure, okay, this battery is healthy, it only needs to be topped up so that you don't expose your cell, because every exposed cell will overheat and the cell will get damaged. That's the essence of keeping all the cell deep in your electrolytes, in the fluid, so that when you are charging them, the fluid is there to guide and prevent overheating. So at the point you agree you want to charge, you want to top up your battery, your hand glove is important, your nose mask, your eye goggle is very, very, if you can get a protective clothing for yourself so that you don't get yourself burnt with concentration of the acid. So at this point, you make sure you take off, your battery is well charged, you only top a charged battery. You only top up a charged battery. Then your battery is charged, you take off your charging point, either from you off the breaker of the PV, or you off the breaker of the utility, the grid, so that you can isolate every source of charging to the battery. Then you start topping the battery, each cell after the other. And as you are topping, don't over top the battery. Don't overfill the battery, because if you overfill the battery, you'll be having a spill. That's one. When you have a spill, it gets to your terminal. And when it gets to your terminal, it will cause corrosion on the terminal. And that will lead to high resistance, voltage drop, because you will not have good contact again. The moment you have corrosion in between your terminal, in between your cable terminal and the battery terminal, the moment you have a corrosion in between them, you will not have good contact. Then that will lead to high resistance and it will lead to voltage drop. And it also impacts, it will affect the charging, because you don't have effective charging of that battery, because there's no good ground, there's no good contact. So that's why you need to avoid overfilling of the battery. You need to avoid it completely. Gauge your battery gradually, check it. That is advisable. If you have battery that has a gauge and also has a cap, open the cap, leave your gauge. As you are feeling through the cap, the gauge will be moving, you'll be able to check. But if you have a battery that does not have the 2 points, then you remove the gauge, you feel gently, you reinsert the gauge, you take your time, you feel gently, you reinsert the gauge, so that you'll be sure you are not overfilling your battery. That's one. Also, after you filled your battery, allow it to settle, to react for some time before you start charging them. You allow the distilled water you introduced to relax, to react to dissolve with the acid, with the electrolyte you have in there. Then you now on your charging circuits so that you can charge it for some time. Then it can be powered to the facility. It can be powered to your inverter. So that's about the fluid. That's about the fluid maintenance. For one other essential maintenance that we also need to do is for the vents. We have 2 areas of vents. For some, you will see some vent at both ends of the battery. For some manufacturers, it will be on top of the cap. You will see a pointed hole directly on top of the cap. For some manufacturers, your gauge, we have a filter in there. You will see that your gauge, when you remove your gauge, there is a filter-like some object inside, just in between the indicator that goes into the electrolyte and the indicator that shows the visible indicator on top of the battery. There's a section there that is for filtering. So if that filter, you need to check it regularly, and if possible, take it and clean it so that all the pores on the filter will be free for fumes to escape, because that is what can keep your battery in a good shape so that it doesn't get overheated. Because if you cannot release the gas you are building up in the battery, it will get the battery overheated. So that for the vent must also be, it's essential. The vent must be clear. Any vent you have on your battery, identify the vent and make sure the vent is clear. So that other speed to the terminal. In operations, what are the things that we check? In operations, these are the things that we check. while in operation, you check the level, you check your vent. The electrolyte has to do with the fluid level, the fluid gauge, the fluid gravity. Then, one thing I almost forgot to mention is the cell voltage. Very, very essential. You need to, because we have 6 cells in a typical 12-volt battery. We have 6 cells in a typical 12-volt battery. Then each of the cell is 2 volts. But that is a nominal. That's nominal. But you can have it up to, you can have it up to 2.5, 2.6. So what you do is you get a multimeter. Each of the cell, if you start from the terminal, if you start from any of the terminal, the O that is next, not the first O close to the terminal, the O that is next to the terminal. If you test your probe on one terminal and use the second probe on the O that is next to the terminal, you must get the nominal voltage of 2 volts or more for each of the cells. Then the essence of doing this, you must test each of the cells, you must test the voltage. You have checked this maintenance time, you have checked the water level, you have checked the gravity of each of the cells, then you test the voltage of each of the cells. How do you test the voltage? You can test it by opening the hole, opening the holes. When you open them, you have access to it. Then you will be testing your multimeter if you test from one hole to another, you allow your probe, your multimeter probe, to touch the electrolyte. If you test one hole to another, it will give you the voltage of that cell. So when you check through, now I have a record of each of the cells. When you write it down, you'll be able to analyze. If there is issue with any of the cell, you will know. If you are beginning to have issue with any of the cell, you will know. So you are expected to have nominal of 2 volts or more. Then when you test each of the volts, each of the cell, and you now record all the 6 cells and you analyze it. If you have even voltage, maybe 2.3, 2.4, 2.3, as in it's averaging around the same voltage, then you know you are good. When you have anyone that is either too low or too high, then you need to troubleshoot further. Something is wrong. That particular one that is offset from others shows something is wrong with that particular one. Then you begin to troubleshoot. Is it the gravity? Is it the electrolyte that is faulty? Is it what other thing is causing this to happen? Then when you troubleshoot that further, you'll be able to analyze what the problem is and get it resolved. So it is very, very important. While we are maintaining, we have checked the level, we have top, we have checked the level, we have checked the gravity, we also need to check the voltage of each of the cells. Because when you check the voltage of each of the cells, it will tell you the condition of the battery. And if a battery passes or fulfill all of these conditions, the level is good, or the level is low, but evenly low, then you top it. The gravity is good or a bit low, it's no more charging. When you charge it to come back to it will come up. Then you tell the voltage, all the voltages are good, then the battery is in a good state. Then you charge the battery, it will come back alive. The battery will come back and be working fine. So that is for operation period. We have talked about the fluid level, we have talked about the gravity, we have talked about the voltage. So I will also talk about the terminals to prevent corrosion on the terminals. Though some corrosions are not caused by acid spill, some are caused by a reaction between a copper and a lead. So this can also be eradicated using a grease-based gel to prevent that corrosion from happening. That's why every tubular battery will come with this small gel size nylon. It's for you to apply on the terminal so that you can prevent the effect of either acid or the effect of copper on the lead and other effects. So we have actually talked more about why your battery is in operation, what you can do to sustain it. These are the things we can do and this will help us to prevent overheating, to help us to increase the lifespan of the battery. Battery will be reversed to very good optimal operations, and it also help a lot in expanding the lifespan of the battery. So the third part of our topic today, we have talked about the installation and commissioning. We have talked about operation, which we have mentioned. Operation you need to revisit is a maintenance-based battery. So you ought to have a maintenance schedule. It could be quarterly, it could be annually, it could be biannual. You must have a maintenance schedule if you have a tubular battery setup. If you don't do that, any day your client will call you, it will either demand that you replace the battery, or you will have to go and do outright maintenance of the battery, outright repair of the battery. So to prevent this from happening, you need to have a schedule. It could be monthly, though if you don't have a programmable hybrid inverter, it might not be easy for you to do it monthly. You could do quarterly, biannual, or annual, but you must have a maintenance schedule. This tubular battery we are talking about, is a maintenance-oriented battery. It's not a maintenance-free battery. It's a maintenance-oriented battery. And your tubular battery can last you as long as your lithium battery can last you, depending on how it is managed. So okay. There's one point I also want to raise regarding the operations, and that is cabling. We need to check tight our cables every terminal on the cable. When you go there for maintenance, let's make sure we check tight, because every loose contact will cause a lot of problem. The resistance at that point will increase. You have a drop in inefficient charging. A lot of issues will crop up from that, and it will end up damaging the battery, causing battery reversible damage. So that's being said. So now, maybe all these things were not done, and the battery has now come to a position where it doesn't last again. Due to non-maintenance, we find ourselves in a situation where our battery are not performing again. So now we come to preventive and corrective maintenance. We've talked about preventive a bit, but now we need to talk about corrective maintenance. That is the third layer of optimizing the performance of the battery. And at this point, the deed has been done, the battery is in a bad state. So how do we bring it back? Few things I will mention here. You have a bad tubular, somebody call you for a bad tubular battery. No problem, no panic. You get to site, the first thing we check is how old is the battery. Make sure you get the history of the system. How old has it been in use? That will tell you. Then when you check the battery, how dirty is the battery? It tells you the maintenance culture. You get to site, the battery is dirty, the environment is very dirty. It shows nobody pays attention. All what has been happening is just usage. They are just using the battery. Nobody pays attention to the body language, the messages, the battery is passing through a lot of effects. So this is a bad battery. What do we do? The first thing we do to that battery is to analyze. Let's diagnose the battery. How do we diagnose? Just like we do during normal maintenance, we check for the battery voltage. Any tubular battery that gives you less than 9 volts, any tubular battery a 12-volt nominal tubular battery that give you less than 9 volts is having a very critical problem that is beyond electrolyte, it is beyond battery charging. Because every cell of that battery cannot go less than 1.6. So if you have it 1.6 times 6, then you should still be having more than 9, or let's say 9 higher than 9. So if you have less than that, then it shows there's a critical problem on the cell. So that's the first thing you do. If you test the terminal, if you test your battery voltage and it's giving you less than 9 or less than 10, then you should have at the back of your mind, it's not about electrolyte this time. So, but if you still have, then if you have less than that, then check each of the cell. And if, as you are checking each of the cell, if you check any cell and the cell did not give you voltage, or maybe it's giving you maybe less than maybe 0 point something volts, it shows that that cell is bad. So the battery is going for outright replacement. But luckily enough, if you're able to test all the voltages of each of the cell, and you have it around between 1.7 to 2 or 1.5 to 2, it shows that all the cells are good. Then you check your gravity, the gravity is bad, or the gravity is good, or is uneven. Then what you will do at that time is not about topping up the electrolyte. You have to remove the electrolyte completely. You have to remove the electrolyte completely and introduce new new standard gravity electrolytes. Because I've had a situation where I ordered for electrolyte from a very reputable solar company, and I was telling them I need so gravity of electrolyte. They're telling me no, they don't. What am I talking about? What's this gravity I'm talking about? And this is a renowned solar company. And I told them, no, we need to check the gravity of the electrolyte you are selling for us. So at this point, I need to have been buying from. So I need to engage in this is how you get hydrometer. You can use to check so that at least your client will also get satisfaction. So at this point, we are not only refilling with electrolyte, we are refilling with a standard gravity electrolyte that suits your battery. And at this point, we don't go high above the standard. If you don't get the standard, you get a little below the standard, because the cells are not more new cells, they are old cells. If you give them very high concentrated acid, which is high gravity electrolyte, it will damage them because the cells are not new. So you have to give them, either you give them the exact gravity or something lesser, so that it will retain, the cell will be able to manage the concentration of the acid. So this is how to bring our battery back. The battery is bad, you have identified, okay, but fortunately, all the cells are still good, but the battery performance has dropped completely. So you remove all the electrolytes. When you remove all the electrolytes, you can use a distilled water. I repeat, at this point, you can use a distilled water, because when you are turning the electrolyte, you are turning it out. If you have a lot of residue at the base of the container, it shows that the cell is dirty. You can use distilled water to agitate the cell again and turn it out, just like cleaning the cell. Then when you now turn out that one, it shows, at least to an extent, you have cleaned the cell. You now introduce your new electrolyte with the right gravity. When you introduce it to the battery, then you keep it to charge. You will charge it. You will charge the battery at least minimum of about 18 to 24 hours. You will charge the battery, and it's advisable. In this situation, it's advisable to charge the battery one by one. Don't lump it up like a 40 volt. No, you might not have equal charging. Charge the battery one at a time. Don't lump them up. Charge the battery. Get a charger. This time is better to use external charger. Use external charger. Charge them one after the other. So when you charge your battery and you test, as at that time when you charge it and you test your gravity, you test your voltage, you see that your battery is bad. Then you can cannot take to site and recommission for use. So other point I also want to make. So we've talked a lot about, just to recap, our gravity level for a standard charge battery should be around 1,250 to 1,290, 1,300. Not higher, not good, lower, not too bad, but require charging. So for that, those are the major points we can raise. And we'd like to take one or two questions and also addition from the team. We are all on the journey together, and we are still learning. So we'll take one or more points or addition or point of correction. I can be called to order, and I also learn from that. So that's a short brief I can give, and I hope I've been able to justify this time I'm given, and I want to welcome the team once again. Thank you for giving me that opportunity to share the little I know and the little experience we've had on site. I'll be glad to have some questions regarding even site work or observation at site or any troubleshooting you want us to take together. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Engineer Rewan. It was quite an insightful section, going in depth on how, to manage, troubleshoot, and maintain tubular batteries. I'm quite very sure that our participants, we learned a lot today, and we had quite an eye-opening section. So, so this is the question and answer section. We have so the first question I have here on the chat is from Jeremiah. So Jeremiah is asking, say, please, how do I know how I can top up the electrolytes in the battery cell? So that's the first question we have here. How do I know how I can top up the electrolytes? From Jeremiah. Over to you, Mr. Rabi. Or do I ask all the questions? You take them, or you want to take them after one?
Can I take the question is, how do I know I can top up electrolytes?
Yes, the battery cell.
So yes. To start with, there's a gauge on every battery, every tubular battery. There's a gauge on each of the cells. So the gauge has the upper limit and the lower limit. So the moment the gauge is coming close to the lower limit, you don't allow it to get to the lower limit. You top it up. And before you top up, as we agreed, as we discussed, before topping up, there are some things you check. What is the level? Is it even? The level of the battery, because the gauge, check the gauge. It should be it should be even, as in approximately even. And secondly, test the gravity. Don't just top up. Test the gravity of that battery. This hydrometer, I think it's about 8,000, 7,005. Every installer needs it. Every installer. If you are installer in Nigeria today, because we are still using tubular battery a lot in Nigeria. Though lithium is taking over, but we are still using tubular battery in Nigeria. So every installer must have hydrometer. You get to site, test, because that will give you. Imagine a station where you have a very bad gravity and you are topping it with electrolytes. If your gravity is very, very low and you're adding distilled water, you are compounding the problem. So you check your graph.
Hello, Engineer Rabi, are you still with us? I think he must. His network is. Engineer Rabi must have lost Engineer Rabi due to the network. So I think he'll be. So whilst we wait for Engineer Rabiu to join us to reconnect with us again, I want to say big kudos to each and every one of you for staying all the way and having an insightful section on the battery management system. So it's also an opportunity for me to also share of our upcoming training on the 8th of September. 4 weeks training that will be starting on the 8th of September, where we'll be going more in depth on how to manage our battery, not just the battery, the PV components, the PV module, the charge controller, the inverter, the battery, both the dry cell, the wet cell, and the lithium ion batteries. So this is what is going to be happening on the 8th of September at the Renewable Energy Technology Training Institute. So you can always share the training with your friends, your colleagues, and then let them know what is going to happen so that they can also have a take in this quite interesting sector, which I believe each and every one of us is already doing well. So I can see some of our alumni here, both the ones I know and then the ones that just joined us. So I want to say again, thank you. I would like to take maybe 2 seconds if you have any questions or feedbacks or your general view on the webinar today before we wrap up. Probably if Engineer Rabiu will be joining us, but the conversation will continue on the WhatsApp platform, on the Red Sea Alumni support WhatsApp group. So the conversation, the questions will continue happening there.
Somebody is raising their hand. Akim. Somebody raised his hands. Akim.
Oh, okay. I think, yes, Mr. Akim. Thank you, Ms. Glory, for that. You raised your hand. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. Mr. Hakim Ismaila. Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon. Sorry.
Good afternoon.
I actually want to have the conversation expressive, but I think it's not around again, so that's fair. So I think the other thing I want to contribute to is that regarding the battery, like the top up or for you to know the level of where you have a battery. Mostly what I do is I just assume like my car, like the oil gauge or oil seal that we use on our car. So it's more as if the way you are using your phone, you don't want the oil to get to the limit before you top it up like that. So it's something like that, just almost the same operation. So I think that's just what I have to say, except if the operator is bad. I have my question. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for that contribution. Any other person want to add something to the webinar as we're wrapping up this section? Thank you. I can see some of your comments here. Thank you, Gabriel Benjamin. This is a great time learning. God bless Reti. God bless you too. Very insightful webinar from Reti. Kudos. Thank you, Jeremiah. We have a question here said from Abubakar. Please, how can I identify a good distilled water for tubular battery top-up? So you can always ask the question on the group. But one thing I want to add to that is one is always have a reliable brand where you can always get your tubular battery, because we know that most people now they will just put tap water and then want to sell it as distilled water. So one of the key things you need to identify is to get your product from a well recognized brand, a recognized company that you can know that you can trust these guys, that when buying anything from them, be it the distilled water or any other solar components or materials, you know that their reputation is high and they don't want to dent their reputation. So that is one of the things I can add to your question, Abubakar. But you can always still ask it on the group, and then I'm sure that Engineer Rabiu will also more inputs to that. So we have come to the end of the webinar. I think, okay, I have another new message here. Let me quickly get that from Olua Femi. So thank you for the webinar. Can you share your WhatsApp group link? So that will be shared shortly. Please confirm how did you get the link, so that I'll reach out to you and then share the link with you. So the link will also be shared on our social media platform, both on LinkedIn, our WhatsApp group, on LinkedIn, and on the Telegram group also. All right, Telegram. Yeah, the conversation will still carry on Telegram, and then your questions will be answered there. So thank you once again, everyone. So like I said, we have our training on the 8th of September. The training and the registration link will be shared on all our media handles, LinkedIn, Facebook, and then IX. No, yes. So all that will be shared. So do well to share with your colleagues and friends, and then let them register for the next cohort. So with that being said, thank you once again, and have a great day ahead. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.